Okay, Claire, I'd like to ask you a bit about the governance arrangements in an academy, because I know that they're different from a maintained school, and you have slightly different groups. So, for example, I know that you have to have a trust. So can you just start off by talking about the trust, please?
Okay. So the Academy Trust then is a company registered in law with Companies House and the Charity Commission as an exempt charity. What that means is that you are subject to company law in the same way all other companies are, but as an exempt charity, although you still follow the Charity Commission's guidance for charitable trustees, you don't need to complete the financial reporting because the Department for Education is your regulator. So that's the reason why. So the trust is made up by a minimum of 3 members. Now those members sign what's called the memorandum, and that is a document which accompanies what's called the Articles of Association. So those original signatories on the memorandum are called the subscribers. They are the ones that don't have any term of office, so they're there for as long as they want to be, basically, unless they're removed or decide to resign. And they oversee the management. They have a couple of statutory responsibilities, which are to receive the audited accounts, and depending on what's written in the articles, and the articles basically replace the Guide to the Law for School Governors. Depending on what's written in there about who appoints directors, it could lie with the members, which is the sort of default position, if you like, but you can change that before conversion to let that responsibility lie with the directors, so the board of directors. So you have a choice there, but usually...
Well, I'm a bit confused then. So you've got a trust and you've also got directors and you've got members. The language itself seems to me to get in the way a bit, and we haven't even started talking about governors. So can you just unpick that a bit for us again?
Yes, okay. I think if we think about the company then, so the Academy Trust being the company, we have the members who act in the capacity of sort of shareholders, or in the same way that shareholders would in a commercial company, and they oversee the performance and the running of the trust, and only are required to meet once a year at the annual general meeting, whereas the board of directors are the ones that take the day-to-day responsibility for the management and operation of the trust. And again, it depends on whether it's a single trust, so a single school that's converted to an academy trust, or whether in fact it's a chain, a multi-academy trust.
And is the board of directors the same as a governing body, or is that...
Right, that's the best way of equating it, yes, most definitely. But again, there's different functions whether you're a single academy or a chain academy. So the board of directors are also the governors within a single academy setup. But in a multi-academy or chain setup, there is a 2-tier system of governance. So you've got the board of directors, who basically are the full governing body, if you like, and then you have local governing body committees. And they are essentially teaching and learning committees that are operated on a local level for each individual school, whereas all the finance and other business aspects, strategic aspects, are dealt with by the board of directors.
So where does the buck stop?
Board of directors.
Okay.
So you still have the members that will hold the board of directors to account, and they are the ones, the members are the ones that have the £10 liability. If everything goes bust, then they are the ones that have to pay the £10 towards the sort of liquidation costs. Board of directors don't, but they are the ones that oversee the operation and the management. But obviously what normally happens is that they delegate a lot of those responsibilities to the head teacher.
I mean, it all sounds a lot more complicated than governance in a maintained school, but in practice, does it actually make a lot of difference?
I think it does in terms of recognising the enhanced roles and responsibilities, and therefore it's a mindset. in essence, there isn't any difference as such, because you are still looking to set the strategic direction, you are still ensuring accountability, and you are still acting as a critical friend. But there are different ways of making that work that enable the board of directors to focus very much on the strategic aspects, whereas the local governing bodies, if it's a chain in setup, will focus only on the teaching and learning. So if you think about why academies came into being in the first place, to raise standards and outcomes for students, actually by focusing very clearly in that way, it enables people to really focus on the job at hand, which is about the critical aspects of school performance.
So would you say, generally speaking, that governance in the academy is more effective than it was when it was a maintained school?
Not necessarily. That very much depends on having the right skill sets around the table, and that doesn't, as I say, that's irrespective of whether you're maintained or not. So it does matter that you've got the right people around the table, and I think one of the things that it focuses the mind on, because you know, if you're involved in governance within an academy as an independent school, there are additional roles and responsibilities that you take on. So, for instance, as in an employer being one of the main ones, and the fact that there are these additional financial reporting requirements does mean it sort of it places an extra focus, I think, on what needs to happen through governance. So it's just about making sure that you've got the right skill sets, that you've got the right structures in place to enable effective governance to be delivered.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Claire, we're talking about the effectiveness of the governing body. How many governors and directors, in fact, have you got? Because you're probably aware that DfE recommends that there's 7. Would that be enough to get through all the work?
I don't think so. No. It's if you think if the board of directors has got to be the strategic body, and again, bearing in mind there's differences between a single academy and a multi-academy, because if you're looking after a federation of more than one school, then 7 is not going to be anywhere near sufficient if you think about the workload, and ensuring accountability across a range of schools is going to be very different. But taking the single school side of things, if you want to have a group of people around the table that not only have the skill sets required, that would mean you're expecting an awful lot of each individual if you only had the minimum amount available to complete the work schedule. So I would say, in terms of making sure that you get a diverse and inclusive range of people around the table, then you do need to have representation from a variety of different backgrounds with different skills, different experiences, so that you have got a body which is able to provide the challenge that is required in order to deliver effective governance. Relying on a few, if you think about any governing body, whether it's maintained or not, I mean, yes, there is always a core of governors that are relied upon perhaps a little more heavily than others. And it's generally because of their skill sets and what they contribute. And therefore, undertaking a skills audit, I would say, is essential. I don't say that is optional. I think that's very much critical to the success of the new organisation going forward, that you do have the right breadth and depth of skills, knowledge and experience available to fulfil the required statutory obligations that the trust has.